Hi YouTube, I hope you're all doing well. I'm doing okay. I just fell through the floor about half hour ago. It wasn't really anybody's fault, but Doug had told me it was like soft on this one side where we have boards covering it up for the well that needs to be worked on. But I was packing water in from the rain. I actually did a load of laundry with rainwater, so I wouldn't get too far behind on that. So I was like packing that in, and I was pretty tired, and um, just walked across the floor and just fell through. Luckily, my knee caught myself right there. Otherwise, I might have broke my leg or my hip. Maybe not. I have pretty strong bones. Takes an awful lot to. I scraped it and there's a bruise, so I'm gonna live, but I'm still a little, I got kind of like the jitters from it, if you know what I mean, when you're in pain. I kind of re-hurt my arm too. I sat there for a second, I'm like, I can't believe I just did that. Like I knew it was there. you know, I'm just so used to walking over it and not giving it a second thought. And I did some mopping this morning, sweeping, mopping, feeding the kitties, exercises, packing water in. So I got my muscles going on. I was listening to a Sean Baker, MD, and he was talking about, how, as far as not like shaming people, body shaming them, but not, should we make like bigger seats on airplanes and different things for people to accommodate them? Um, I would say probably so, but like with Dr. Baker, he's 6'4". Um, when you have, and I have 36-inch legs, it's like when you're in a commercial area, you know, yeah, it could be a little more spacious, and people are getting bigger. I had read a meme that was talking about the rungs on the ladder have gotten shorter as far as people have gotten taller since ladders were first designed. So the space in between the rungs appears to be smaller than they used to be, for stepping out. It is a little awkward. You know, it's like the steps on my house too. They're just not right for me. They're very dangerous. But then he was talking about how people in Japan, they don't even make like plus size clothes. Well, it takes like, I think this is probably, it might be a large, but I'll get like a 4X. And I do have a waist under all this, but I have 44-inch shoulders. You know, what do you do? I'd be really screwed in Japan. Well, actually, I know how to sew. I do like I did when I was younger. I would custom make my own, you know. I made some pretty cool clothing too when I was a kid, but that's what I would be forced to do if I lived over there. He was talking about if people are obese, you know, then they'd be out of luck. Well, they would have to either hire a seamstress and, um, you know, have tailor-made clothes. Well, not tailor-made. I mean, they would have to start with bigger pieces of material and make what they need. So, yeah, well, just kind of interesting. Another thing I found interesting, listening to Israeli News Live, and it still boggles my mind how somebody can quote from rabbis that believe in the Noahide law and use the same identical interpretation for the scriptures in their language, not the pre-Hebrew, and then talking about John, how John, the first writing was not in Hebrew, and how it was changed into Hebrew for their understanding. Well, right before all the extra letters were put in to make things sound different than what they actually are. So it's beyond me how somebody can follow letter by letter somebody that believes that if you believe in Christ, if you believe that Christ is the Son of God and they're the same person in spirit, then they want you dead. I wouldn't be quoting them and take that for gospel myself personally. I would kind of put some kind of question in there, like, could it be that there's something coming up that is so deceiving in here that is going to lead people the wrong way? Well, I'm sure that will come to his understanding one way or another, but I just haven't been able to get it through to him. It's just like, well, he did quit saying about the strange flesh not meaning the queers in the world. It absolutely does mean that. He tried to make it sound like it was aliens. No, it was the Nephilim that raped the women, and they are in human form just like we are. There is no humanoid on this planet, whether the spirit is from somewhere else or not, that doesn't look like us. And this is the falsities of what they're trying to push to cover their tracks with the control that they want to continue to have over people. So yeah, it is beyond me. It's like, how can, yeah, I studied it. How can you believe that that's thoroughly the gospel? And I have a feeling that he's read the Masonic Blue Book just the same as I did, or the Masonic Bible. Something tells me that he's doing their bidding to make money. I can't prove it, but that's how I feel in my spirit about it, you know? Like I said, he'll come to it sooner or later, one way or another. So, yeah. Would you trust somebody that wants you dead? Right. Mm-hmm. It's like yesterday I had told Dougie he wasn't my friend. Well, not even a frenemy, more like an acquaintance, because when somebody has failed you so deeply that you don't have that friendly human connection. I mean, I would like to have, but it just isn't. You know, I'm not going to pretend. What am I supposed to say? Oh, yeah, you're my friend. You do all these bad things that you will not acknowledge or admit, but oh, you love me and you're my friend. Sure, you are. Excuse me a minute. So, yeah. Anyway. Yeah, so I'm not one to go around pretending that my enemies are my friend. And I can forgive them as they're doing their stupid stuff, as life goes on day after day. But it doesn't mean that there aren't any consequences for the things they do. So, whatever. So, yeah. But anyway, I do get a kick out of people that would teach in Hebrew the very language of those that are our enemies. Yeah, we're all Abrahamic religions, but Christianity and Judaism are two different things, and they just are. You know, I don't know if some of you have seen the things that some rabbi do with newborns when they're castrated, or not castrated, circumcised. Yeah, and that isn't even what the circumcision was. That was taken out of context. Did you know when that extra skin is taken off the penis that it holds the penis more taut and men have a harder time controlling their sexual urges because of that? Isn't that interesting? It's not just a cleanliness thing. Because even like a mother with a newborn, I mean, you're going to keep your baby clean, you would think, regardless. But yeah, they have reasons for what they're doing. Everything they push on the public, better believe it. And that might, if you look into some of their activities at the Wailing Wall and whatnot, hey, I know I have Jews that watch me. Hey, don't shoot the messenger. Or let me put it this way, this is my perspective from the things that I have studied from a scholarly and motherly point of view. So, and I'm out here to protect people. I don't care what religion you think you are. There are practices within many religions that go against the very fiber of the human being. And that's just the way I feel about it, you know. It's like with the Catholics, do you believe that you're going to count on your rosary beads and perform penance and that's acceptable to God? Little things like that I don't believe in, you know. And they worship the Virgin Mary. It's not that I couldn't say, "Hey, Virgin Mary, if you're listening, I couldn't get through to Christ. Do you know him well enough? Could you give him a message?" No. Even Christ is a messenger. Um, we are supposed to seek the Father's face. He's the go-between so we can understand how to talk to the Christ Spirit, how to talk to God. It's all glory to God, not all glory to anybody else. So I know some of you aren't very religious or God loving. I don't like the words God fearing. Although I guess if you have a reason to fear, I mean, let's put it this way, if he just popped up in front of me, I'm probably going to have a little bit of fear. But if I'm absolutely trying my hardest to be a decent human being, I'm not backing down. I'm not going to say I fear somebody that's supposed to love me. No way. There are just certain things that are written that I don't go along with, and I don't care what they say because I know the languages too well. That's why most of the people on the planet don't have any faith, is because of all the twisting and turnings in every single religion out here. There's one steadfast one, Native Americans. You cannot, I mean, they made them go to Christian schools. They tore up all kinds of families and force them to believe in their religion or die. Children, women, didn't matter. They separated thousands of families and killed men and women and everybody. All because of religion. Well, their religion is still the same. And they believe that there's a Father Creator, the great Creator, and the Mother, and you cannot bend them out of their beliefs, which is really a base belief for most people around the world. All believe that there's some sort of almighty, not everybody is on board with the fact that God could actually come down into the flesh to show us how to live to be able to ascend. A lot of people don't believe that part. Or if they do believe in a Messiah, they don't believe that he's one with the Father. See, I still believe they're separate entities with one mind and one heart. And they carry parts of that for each other, and that's guided through the Christ Spirit in our blood like that from the Father. And it's still all from the Father, although Christ has his mind and heart. He's of the Father like that. But it's still like one of my kids saying, just because you made me and I have your heart and your mind, I am now you. Well, that's how I believe people don't understand the Trinity and the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit works with the divine feminine too. So on that part where they get with and with Mary, the Virgin Mary, I had a thought. What if the Virgin Mary that was depicted was Mary Magdalene, but she was Jesus' sister, married to his brother, James, and not the Mary that Christ knew. Just a thought. And here's another thought. Mary Magdalene was said to have died when she was 46, and Jesus was 33 when he died, so they say. That would make Mary old enough to be his mother. Maybe that's the Mary he was hanging around with, wasn't the same as what the whore was, or who gave birth to him. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. I don't have any documents in front of me. I read about a lot about this. I know I have at least one Jesuit that watches me, and they hold a certain belief of the Father coming into flesh. And let me word this right. There's some people that believe that Christ and Satan are the same. I'm not really on board with all that like that. I see that there's bits and pieces of spiritual things in everybody. It's still who we feed, who we're going to be. But that energy that's there in the flesh, even with the greatest satanic force on this planet, in the flesh, still has the opportunity to capture the Christ Spirit within themselves to utilize as a decent human being. And it's still who were going to abide by the good force or the evil force. So that's some of my understanding from whatever and whoever. So, thought it was really wild, and this is funnier than can be. I was listening to just one of these silly coincidences that we seem to be going through. I was listening to Professor Sam Bachman. He had a video about narcissists and animals. He was talking about one pet he had, like a turtle, a goldfish, and a snail. And his goldfish's name was Frederica. Now, this is a really unique name that you don't hear very often. And when I was a kid, I had this purple and white teddy bear about, yay big, like 18 inches. And when he wore out, one time I dropped him in the toilet and he had to be washed. I don't know if we were still using like a wringer washer back then. We might have been. It was electrically powered. One time I was 4, my arm went through that thing and I was screaming. My ma had went upstairs and left me doing that. There are certain things I can't prove that I think witchcraft was involved in. That hurt. But anyway, yeah, so his name was Fred, and he had been washed so many times that I ended up making him a dress, purple and white flowers and a little pair of underwear, and I named him Fred Rika. So I just thought it was kind of odd somebody that's only a few years younger than me had a goldfish named Frederica because, like I say, that's not a really common name. And little kids don't usually come up with that name. Maybe we had read some of the same literature when we were kids or something. I don't know. I can't even remember if I knew anybody named Fred at all. I don't think I did. I don't know if I ever have. maybe one or two people. That's not even very common, you know. Anyway, just kind of odd. Yeah. I've found that most narcissists really don't treat their animals very well. They like they're able to talk down to them or treat them poorly and maybe not give them the care that they always need. These little things that will go unnoticed to most people, you know. If you're not a narcissist and you notice those type of things, then, but and I don't care who says what. I know that it's not proper treatment. It just isn't. Just even the way they talk to them or treat them. I've had some of the most intelligent animals on the planet, and you just do not make an intelligent animal. Narcissists cannot, like for instance, I have never seen a horse or a dog trainer or somebody like that I have done be able to work with an animal on that same level. They just don't have that connection for another life form. They just don't. Cheers, everybody. Maybe they did when they were little, but I don't know. From what I've seen, they don't. So anyway, I'm not out to get revenge on anybody that's harmed me or even my animals. I just want people like that to be able to experience the same type of things. Really, that's the best, not just karma. I'm talking identically be able to go through that. Then they'll have a deep understanding of the things that they have done to other people. And until they're in their shoes, in that shoes of those other people, they aren't going to have that understanding and they aren't going to care. Nothing's going to make them care because they feel like they're on cloud nine. It's like the people that have harmed you or I. What if they have to come back and be you or I? Like that simulation. Wouldn't that be a trip? I think it would be. That would be sweet justice. That would be the best learning tool for any soul, to have to go through what you've put another person through. And until you get the point, your lesson is not done. That would be justice. That would be burning in hell all within itself, because what is hell? Hell is being unjustly treated, horrible, when you have a loving heart and you don't understand. You'll never understand. It just, I mean, yeah, you have a level of it, of their lack of compassion. Then we can run around and call them aliens and lizards and whatever. What puts that cold heart in one's heart, where another person that may have gone through way more doesn't have that cold spot? What's humanity? Who are they? What are their souls? What is the integrity behind them? You know? How could they get enjoyment out of causing harm? There's the trippiest answer of the whole thing. We call it what? Narcissism. Narcissistic supply. Then what is evil? You know? We're just calling evil narcissism, is all it is. It's, if you got a cold ass heart, that's who the F you be. You know? Who the F you be. Yeah. Yeah. It is astounding to see people that could have, it could be heaven on earth for them, and they refuse it. Uh, so what do they deserve in the future? Who are they? What is their actual nature? Are they human? I don't think they are. If you don't have human instincts and feelings, you're not cut from the same cloth. You know, like the remnant. That indicates to me what a remnant is. Being a seamstress is going in and looking at material and then see if I wanted a smaller piece of material off that bolt of cloth that has many yards of material on it. But if there was something in particular, like a little piece of silk or satin or whatever, and you can go look at the remnants little pieces that are left from the whole bolt of cloth, the original big cloth that was woven. And so many yards would be sold off it, and then pretty soon you only have a little remnant left. But that's enough to make something really beautiful out of. Um, that indicates to me that the whole bolt has been used up and there's nothing but the remnant. But if you feel like you're part of that remnant, yeah, well, then you probably know you are. And these are the times we live in. You know? I still will never wholeheartedly trust anybody that has laws that approve of killing another human being because of their religious beliefs. You know, if we're talking satanic, even that, if you were to go out and beat up a Satanist today, you'd be frowned upon, right? But somebody that has God in their heart and another religion's going to tell me they have God in their hearts and they would want me dead, that pretty much tells me that I'm probably not going to translate their transcripts that were not originally written in that language and hold it as gospel. Yeah, there's similarities, but it's not identical to what it was, you know? How many rabbis do you hear preaching the Ten Commandments or the seven deadly sins? Not very many ministers, period, of any sect even come close to covering that. Yeah, they have observations of rituals that they'll hold for this holiday or that holiday, but the actual laws of God and the Noahide laws are not God-given. But they're Talmudic. They're written by rabbi. You can say that they're God-inspired. Well, what spirit would that be that wants somebody else dead? Or would make it legal to call them goy or goyim or cattle and use their children as slaves, and states in there that they can basically do anything to them? That doesn't sound very godlike to me. But these people out there that are going to push, like it is, it's talking out of both sides of their mouth. It's like, I'm a Christian, but I'm going to teach you Christianity in Hebrew. Well, thank you for that. That's very enlightening. I appreciate the death threats and the condemnation from mankind that isn't Christ-based. Yes, thank you for all that. Good job. Bravo. You know. Oh, or this. Well, it wasn't written in Hebrew, and these letters were added, and we're just going to use this scripture. Okay, that makes a real lot. That makes sense, dude. That really makes sense. No, no, it doesn't. Try that on an Indian reservation. Go in there and speak to them about their great creator, and then tell them that the Hebrews call them goy and want them dead because they don't believe in their God, because they have their own. You try that there. Well, that's the fighting spirit that's in me. I'm not just going to sit here and say, oh, you think you're better than me? Well, you probably are. No, you're not. You don't even come close with your Hebrew ways. Maybe some of you do, if you have like a Jewish heritage or whatever. I have people in my family that do, my blood relatives. So that's not quite what I mean like that. I'm talking about the practices of their laws that they're imposing on other people. And being that the Word of God is written on our hearts, all of our hearts, and my heart is telling me that I need to fight against these Noahide laws. They're already written in the United States uh, lack of rights. These have been signed into law. It's like every 12 years. Trump was the last one to do it. He's got the rabbi all around him. A dozen of them, like the disciples. Isn't that ironic? As he's signing them into law. I'm trying to tell people before they're voting for this clown. He's a Kabbalist priest. What part of that don't you get? You know? Yeah, go vote for him. Feel like you actually did something for the United States. Good job. Yeah. How can he, and he's got a plaque with that, right? He had it right behind his desk in the Oval Office. And I passed around this information for people, and I'm like, just look at it. They wouldn't even look at it. It's like, oh, you want to praise your little Trumpy as king, like he's some kind of savior for you against the other side, right? I saw a girl. She was about 5'6". She said she had played on a college football team the first time in any kind of professional realm of football, and she went right up to the quarterback and she pulled a move I've done before. I dove at his legs and grabbed, and she was quick too. The only thing with that, I ended up getting really smashed. I mean, cremated. They didn't have enough people to play and asked me if I wanted to, and I'm like, yeah, okay. I didn't know that if I did something that was kind of brilliant, that I would end up almost dying for it. But a couple bigger people that were my friends around there, they're like get off her and stuff. But this woman admittedly said that, just like me, when I'm working out, I know that my strength isn't like a man's and my endurance is not like a man's. Things are different. It doesn't mean that I can't use the same techniques like in martial arts or whatever to defend myself. But she's fully aware that if it were a full out type of something, she could end up probably possibly getting really hurt, you know. So I don't think it's a good idea. And that was supposed to be like flag football, like touch, not tackle, and it ended up being a rougher game. Yeah, I was 15. I was stupid. you know. Actually, the person I took down, I wanted to take them down, and I succeeded. That was just I'm still glad I did. Maybe getting squished was even worth it, you know. But then some friends of mine got in there and started playing that game with the same people. I did have some pretty good friends that were older and bigger and took care of business for me. A few times. That year especially, I got saved a few times. But I can't remember if I had ridden my bike into town. It was like 3 miles. I might have rode my horse. And then I'd tie her up by the playground by the school, and we had there was a basketball field and a football field and baseball and enough room and a nice field and I would, there was a neighbor, a friend of mine had a horse named Bullet, and I would go and ride Bullet for him so it would get some exercise for their grandchildren. Um, yeah, just keeping it used to being ridden so the kids wouldn't get hurt when they rode it. So I'd go out and just run them and then rein him back in so he'd behave and make sure his manners were good. And he was a good little horse, really nice. Part Welsh, part quarter horse, just like mine was when I was a kid. Not my last one. She was a beast, one of the tallest horses you would have ever seen. Pretty big. Part thoroughbred quarter horse, what they call saddlebred. Yeah. Well, she was a good girl. So was my first one, Spade. She was all black except for a white, like, spade on her head. And I'd get her, like, to rear up, and I jumped her. I went swimming with her. We did all kinds of things together. Then my parents had horses. One that I had, she was green broke when we got her. Her name was Velvet, and she was a Morgan Walker. And I trained her so she would bow so my mom could get on her because my mom was somewhat obese. Yeah, obese. And my dad had a very large horse, a Tennessee Walker, Alita. She was cool too. But yeah. And then I broke some horses out in Montana and rode in rodeo and team roping, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, narcissists aren't very good with animals, and they cannot. Um, I found they have a tendency to work in an adverse manner. If you have let's say you have a dog, and you tell your dog to sit down and behave or whatever, and the narcissist will be across the room saying, "Oh, but she just loves you." No, shut the hell up. I just gave my dog a command. You don't give her an excuse. And they do that with children too. They'll put a barrier in that child's life where it doesn't need to be. I ended up having a very stupid dog. I mean, she was smart, but not all she could have been because of that reason. And I know because I trained bird dogs, and I used to breed my Irish setter, and I've bred attack dogs and different animals, so I know. Just what I'm talking about, like that. And they do cause a barrier, just like that with their children, too, you know? Like giving them a dual rules and nothing. See, kids need stability. And if they don't have their stability out of both parents, if there's conflicts like that, the child's going to be confused. That's what they do with animals, too. I know they do. I don't care who they are. If you have a narcissist in your life, they either hate animals or they're pretending they like them because they don't like anybody. Ask yourself, what would they be like with those animals if you weren't around? Yeah, I found that out a lot. I made up my mind that last dog I had and horse, that's it. The cat I have now, I brought in because her leg was broken. Otherwise, I was not going to get another animal around somebody that isn't completely connected with that life form the way they should be. And it causes them more harm than it does good. That's a fact. If you've been around evil people, you know animals suffer, children suffer, anything that's vulnerable to them. Anything that, and that reminds me of Rubinic teachers that will, you'll teach everything except them Noahide laws, won't you? Yeah, you don't want to get out here and say what's really on your heart and your mind, do you? And if it doesn't comply to what you've been taught for thousands of years, you're not brave enough to get up and say so. You aren't going to wage war against your own people for the goy, are you? No, you aren't. But yet you're going to sit out here and preach that everybody's equal and we're all a part of the same soul. But you just don't believe it within yourself, not enough to actually stand up and speak what is proper and right for human beings. You won't do that, and you haven't been doing that, none of you. You want to gather people into your fold under your laws that condemn them as a human being, as the part of the picture that they actually are. And you talk out of both sides of your mouth while you're doing it. You're not rabbi enough to go up to another rabbi and say, hey, it's time we reconstruct these laws, because how could we ever teach our beliefs to people that we are condemning to death and their children's into slavery? And then pull the poor me card, nobody likes me, and all of us died, and we live like some of us on American soil and don't even give it another thought that the main religion on this continent believes in loving everything in existence. But that that's not a big deal, is it? That's what you say you believe, but that's not actually how you feel. And that's not how you teach either. So how good are you really? You can say, well, you don't change the laws of God. No, you don't, do you? And you don't add to them either to suit yourself, do you? And then you wonder why people around the world might have a little bit of disdain towards you. Why would that be? Are we in our homes as Christians teaching our children that another religion is lesser than us, that they could be slaves or deserve death? Do you think that's in the Christian religion or normal people around the world? Do mothers, do we, fathers, do we teach our children these things? And then what? We're going to have faith in somebody that's speaking ill of us to benefit themselves, or not speaking about it at all to benefit themselves? Pretty big deal. If I could just touch one rabbi's heart one time, and then they'd realize who the actual goy was, what is worth less in God's eyes, you or I? I'll just pose that question to you. Since we're all equal and made cut from the same cloth, or are we? You were chosen to get the scriptures with added commandments that you don't abide by and you don't teach. That's what you were chosen for. And the land you were given, why are you not on your land? And the Palestinian people that are of the same blood and more closely related than the American style Jew, why aren't you over there if that's your land that you were given? How does God give a piece of land to just one people? I don't believe that either. Maybe you're kind of catching on to that. Whatever you wrote, you people, whatever people around the world write in their religions, it's like with Buddhism and meditation and stuff, and people don't really understand that you don't have to sit there and meditate to meditate. You have to get on your knees to pray. I'm praying as I'm talking. My words, my pleas towards these rabbi that think I'm lesser than them and you're not as nice of a person. You just pretend you are. Because you'd be teaching everybody these Noahide laws. You'd be like, look what my ancestors wrote about you. You're my friend. I love you, and I don't believe this is right. But I'm not your friend, and you don't love me, and you do believe it's right, and you do not give a fuck about anybody but your own bloodline. Can we say incestuous thinking problems, perhaps? Well, hey, it's your laws, you know? That's right. We can do magic rituals and we can bring you into the fold. You can be of another bloodline, but we'll bring you in, and then now you are a Jew. I loved you so much. I can't tell you how much I love you. Yeah, you just adore me to death. How precious. Well, it reminds me of a song, Precious and Few are the moments we two can share. Anyway. Shit. Yeah. How could another human being want another human being to work for them and their offspring and think that there isn't a little something wrong upstairs there? Something wrong there? Something wrong there. So how can I, just being a Gentile, funny word there, believe that I need to thank God for my food? Do you think there's as many Jews as there are Christians that are thankful for their gifts from God? I bet there's less Jewish people that believe that than the people of the Christian faith. I am just guessing from my observations in life and being raised by Jews. It's just a guess, but I was the only one at my kitchen table forcing my parents to say grace before I'd go up and I'd take my hand and put their hand down and say, we got to say prayer. We got to say grace. So I'm just going on personal experience, you know. Also, I'm going on the fact that I don't like anybody thinking they're better than anybody else. Even actually, if your virtues are, but the human being themselves and that spark of life that is within humans that everybody carries, that is our precious gift from our same creator, our very same one. So I don't know, I'd really examine my heart and my soul. And I'd just get out there and tell the truth about the Noahide laws and start putting an end to your abolish them. It's garbage. You know it is. It's not how God would want anybody to treat another human being. We all know this is true, don't we? It's just like people that will justify war or send your children off to kill another soul and think that God is going to bless all that and you in doing so. Or these fools, these creatures that get up there and pray to God before they go into battle. You people really are whacked out on this planet. Beyond whacked. It is regressed. It's not human. It's animalistic and it's evil. And you can't make any excuses for it. You can go ahead and try. It's like I had a general, 4-star general, friend me on Facebook, and now another one just the other day. I ignored him for a couple weeks and I thought, okay, I'm going to let you in. You can see the information I'm putting through. First thing he tried to do was pen pal me. Now I don't know if he's in another country, he's lonely or whatever, but I ignored that. But he will see my memes and my posts and know that uh, God governs me. Nobody governs me. And I do fight my own battles. Well, God helps me fight my battles, but I'm certainly not, although I'm a martial artist, I'm not going to become a soldier to go into another country and say, this is how I make my country free by fighting somebody else's wars. We got enough going on in this country that our soldiers could be taken care of right here on our very own homeland. Just like I do if I see an injustice when I'm out in public or wherever I've had to interact with evil people and try and put a stop to it. That's like a one-on-one personal type of thing that we all probably deal with, but how do you deal with it? What do you do? It's not going to help if I have evil right here to go over into another country. I don't care about their excuses and their lies. I've seen enough of this, and I know too much about history to even entertain that any type of war is a good thing, or that any of it is justified. Well, my leg is feeling a little bit better, but yeah, wow. I'm glad I didn't hurt my arm again too bad. Armageddon, Armageddon. Yeah, felt like Armageddon for a second there. Couldn't believe it. At least one leg stayed above the floor. What if I had just went down? I could have just then I would have ended up impaling myself on a pipe. So I guess it could have been worse. Doug did say he was sorry, but it wasn't his fault. I was still on the floor. I think he heard me go through. And I had my Wellingtons on, rubber boots, my wellies, so um and I was tired. I had been carrying buckets of water, 5-gallon pails, and each gallon is 8 pounds. And so I was tired and lifting them and bringing them up the steps and back and forth. By that time, I was pretty tired, so I just wasn't even thinking. And he did tell me it was soft there, but that the kitties could walk across it, but I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just busy, tired, and oops. So that's what you call a trap door. Oh, that was a trap, all right. Maybe I'll just leave it there. No, that's a possibility. Put a trigger on it. Just, oh no, I better not if I get tired again and I'm busy. That's how I broke my toes. Before I caught Doug out of a tree with his chainsaw. And I had him on my shoulder. I had ran across the road and I got him on my shoulder and I hoisted him up. But he was pretty big back then. And when it come back down, it smashed here and it broke here and here in a couple places. But right before that, I had made I very rarely will make bacon and eggs. I might have fried potatoes. I don't know. It was, I eat at night, late at night, so I was tired. And I had just built Doug a computer, so I had the old computer in the hallway, kind of close to my dishwasher. So after I had made supper and we ate, I was tired and I was putting the dishes in the dishwasher. And I turned around and I walked right into that monitor from a desktop and broke like 2.5 of my toes. They still are numb. They still hurt. And then just maybe 4 months after that, so I couldn't sleep for about 6 months. About 4 months after that, and before that, I had a sinus operation, and because of my allergies and a stroke, and my hair fell out, and I had been gassed almost to death in my own home because they put the wrong fittings on it. And so right after when I first got up here to start my YouTube channel, I was just recovering from all that, you know? So, and even to type, it was hard. To do everything, it was hard. But I decided Robin's Hood channel has said, who's listening to me if you're like brave enough to make a video. And I had made some videos on Facebook before, like talking to my grandkids and stuff. So I thought, well, it's not a big deal. But I thought, well, I'm going to start talking about the things that I had learned within my household being raised by Masonic people, you know, and what that experience was like and what I had learned, you know, and try and gather the information from like-minded people so I could have some kind of tangible evidence for all the things that I was talking about, you know. So, yeah, it's raining again, which is good. And it's supposed to be raining a little bit tomorrow too, so yeah, I am gonna have a lot of dishes to do when this is all said and done. That's why I decided to try and do some laundry because I'm getting like too far behind. I didn't want it to take a month for me to be able to clean up my house after all this, so thought, well, I'll do a little bit. And then I had to get some towels. I have some new towels I haven't even opened yet, but I was going to save them. I have a shelf I'm going to build when we get to that remodeling the rest of our bathroom. When our tractor went down, our snow plow went down, our drain field went down, and now the sand point's just like, and our dishwasher, and then we got two of them that didn't work. It was crazy. Just some crazy times the last few months of the last few lifetimes have been pure hell. No, just kidding. Anyway, well, that's probably about it for today, people. I hope your week ahead is a beautiful one for you. I just want to make it really clear that to trust in a people that look at you like a lesser human being probably isn't the wisest thing a person could ever do. But if you believe that it is, then I believe that you're working for them in many respects, whether you want to admit it or not. It's just like trying to rearrange what strange flesh means. You know, those little types of things that are deceiving other people, because if you're not telling people the laws of God and you want to just make up your own little things, even if it's been done for generations and you can justify that, then you don't love me and you aren't a friend of mine or to anybody else, and not even yourself. So just keep it in mind. Don't give me these excuses. Well, it was changed into this and then justify it. Stop right with it was changed. Stop right there and get a in grip, you know? Oh, yeah. Anyway, I'll be back tomorrow. I love you all. Thank you for joining me. Have a really good night or day wherever you're at. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA.